What's up, everybody? Well, I got another Asus G15 Advantage gameplay video for you guys today, and today we're going to have a look at Demonologist. And this game is early access, and it did not run the best on the Steam Deck, but we were still able to bounce between 50 and 60, even on the highest settings. So I think that the laptop should be able to handle it, but the Steam Deck had lots of stutters, so I'm wondering if it's also going to stutter like crazy on Windows, on a much more powerful computer like this. So only one way to find out, right? So let's go get this guy hooked up to the capture computer. We're going to do 1080p first, then we'll do 1440, and then move on to the desktops. That is, if the secondary computer is even going to be done. I don't know if this supports ultra-wide. Kind of seems like a wild card. It could, but I could also understand it not, because it doesn't seem like it's a super AAA title or anything, so they might not put the effort into it. But hey, we'll find out. Anyway, to the capture computer.
Well, judging by how well this game ran on my Steam Deck, this will probably go pretty well, but let's look at the settings first. We're going to do 1080p on the Asus G15 Advantage here. So we won't really need to come back to that screen anymore, but we're just going to max the thing out, and I have a pretty sneaking suspicion it's going to play just fine. Well, maybe not just fine, but it'll play on high, and we don't need to turn anything down. If we were able to almost get 60 on the Steam Deck on high, we should be able to effortlessly do that on a laptop that's way more powerful, you would think, right? So let's jump into the game and see how it plays. Well, all right. Let's go and get a little gameplay here on the Asus G15 Advantage here at 1080p on this Demonologist game. So far, we're getting hundreds of FPS. GPU doesn't have to really work at 100%, so it's not going to sit there and boost to its 100% full clocks, but at least it's doing better than the Steam Deck was with the GPU utilization. But this thing has a massively more powerful CPU, so... I mean, the other one's an ultra-low power Zen 2 custom chip, and this one is a Zen 3 chip, and it's 8-core and 16-thread versus 4-core 8-thread. So the other one's kind of like a 7700K Intel, like low-powered and shoved into a frickin' Steam Deck. Obviously, a real 7700K, I'm pretty sure, would absolutely shit on the Steam Deck's CPU and actual performance because it's so low-powered and everything. But at least it's the same cores and whatnot. I used to have one of those, so that's kind of what it reminds me of, I guess is the point I'm getting at. And it did a pretty good job most of the time, but there was a lot of games that would just be like, hey, I'm gonna peg your CPU and give you like horrible FPS. So I upgraded that shit, which some people said side graded. I went to a 2700X AMD. So it had, I think, slightly worse single-core score, actually, but most games were a lot smoother because I was at 1440p at that point, too. I was also at 1080p before, so I kind of did like a little upgrade, upped the resolution a little bit, got a little bit better GPU, got a CPU that should have been able to handle 1440p for the most part. But then I upgraded to a 3900X after the 2700X. And I think I went to 5900X after that, then a 5950X 3D, and then to my, or not 3D, but 5950X, just X. And then I got a 5800X 3D for my secondary computer to replace the 9900K. But that thing was a trooper. It wasn't until I started playing games like Spider-Man and whatnot that I noticed it kind of holding back the 3090 a little bit. So I was like, alright, time for an upgrade. And I upgraded for essentially free. Sold the 900K and the motherboard, and boom. Got, I think, $428 or something for the whole ordeal. But that was on eBay, so they take a little bit of it. So I think I only ended up taking home like $380 or something like that. But I got the CPU at Micro Center for $299. So that's still pretty much, and I already had a motherboard lying around, so I didn't have to buy a motherboard, so there's still some money in the pocket there, which is always fun. And as you guys can see, I have figured out how to get into the house, so that's pretty cool. I'm kind of glad I stayed outside, though, on the Steam Deck, because it seems like the house is harder to run, or easier to run inside the house than just being outside. Though it doesn't seem to matter for this guy. He's always at about 120, 130 FPS, isn't it? Heck yeah, we all need esports levels of FPS to play a game where you walk around slowly and find ghosts, right? So it's safe to say that this game runs just fine maxed out. It's not even stuttering that much. I mean, it might have a little bit here and there, but for the most part, it seems pretty damn smooth. But it's a DirectX 11 game, and well, it may not get the highest FPS in DirectX 11 game, the AMD GPUs, but they had an update that upgraded their performance in there quite a bit, so it's still getting pretty decent performance. But every time I seem to play a DirectX 12 game, there's stutter, and it's annoying. It's like, can't anybody compile shaders correctly? I know there's some games that are fine, like Resident Evil 4. Ooh, what's this? I keep trying to click on it. It's an Ouija board, but I can't do anything with it. What the fuck? There's no crouch. Can I do anything with this? You know what this reminds me of? It looks like one of those paddles, like, only supersized, like the ones that you, like, put on someone's heart to, like, make them come back to life. I think they call it a defibrillator. Kind of looks like a giant one-handed defibrillator, or two-handed defibrillator for spirits or something. I don't know what the hell. If I see a spirit, am I supposed to shock him with it or something? I have no idea what to do with any of the tools they gave me. They didn't really explain anything. It was kind of just like, hey, start the game. All right, there you are. Go get the ghosts. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess. I guess I'll try to get the ghost. Because I ain't afraid of no ghost. Yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of Ghostbusters references. But anyway, why don't we now go and move on to some camera recording.
Well, alright guys, let's try to get some camera recorded gameplay. This might not work well, but still want to try anyway. Because if I don't do my due diligence and actually give it a shot, then I'll be angry later for not trying. But I have a feeling since this game is so fucking dark, this camera has a huge issue with dark and staying focused and all sorts of stuff. Like the second it loses light on the screen and doesn't have anything to focus on, it's just done. See? It keeps on freaking fucking up. There we go. Shed a little light on the subject, huh? Now we should have some what you want to call it? Some light. But as you can see, we're getting good FPS. I forgot to grab all my shit, too. Now let's head back there. No Ouija board on the floor this time, so the map changes every time. We got ourselves a microwave.
Huh. Definitely an interesting game. Gonna take some time to get used to it, though. Definitely more meant for a keyboard and mouse, too. The fucking controller controls suck ass. But still playable, don't get me wrong. I think I would just prefer. It seems like more like a point and click. You have a mouse, you can just click on everything. Move around with WSAD. I think that'd be the way to go. It's not like this is a super twitchy first-person shooter, although we're getting that kind of FPS half the time. Though sometimes we drop down into the 90s. The game kind of does what it wants. Ah, we found him. Don't really know what I'm supposed to do after we find him, but we found him. But in any case, I think that's plenty of camera gameplay. It might not have gone perfectly, but still happy to have it. I think at least the FPS was legible, and that's the most important part about all of this. So, in any case, let's go wrap this video on up now.
Well, alright guys, that's a wrap for Demonology. I managed to figure out how to open a door, but wasn't able to do much more than that. Saw a Ouija board on the ground too in the kitchen, but I don't see a crouch or anything. You can't click on it or anything, so no idea what the hell I'm supposed to do with that, but we'll try to figure that out more in the 1440p version. But other than some random stutter here and there, it actually seemed to be pretty good. We were in the hundreds most of the time. I think one time at the beginning before I started recording, I spun around in a circle real quick to pre-cache everything in to the VRAM and everything, and it dropped down to 61 time, and then after that, never again. That was just like some stutters, some pre-caching stutters. So it might do that, you go to a new area, but I think the way this game looks like it works is you're at this house until you're done finding the ghosts. You're not really going anywhere else. So at least in this particular map, it seems to be able to get over 60 no problem. So I have no reason to believe it wouldn't do other maps just fine too. There might be some that are harder to run than that, but I don't think any are gonna be so hard to run that they're gonna drop under 60 on a thing like this. Not at 1080, and probably not at 1440 either. I think we'll still be fine, but we'll have to wait until the next video to find that one out. Speaking of which, time for me to go do that. But before I do that, we gotta end this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because I sure as hell enjoyed making it for you guys. And until the next video, peace out, guys.